fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you're working on and work alongside while I chat. Or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today, I'm going to be continuing to work on my Sleepy Time kit from Diamond Painting Shop. So let me zoom in to where I'm going to be working, and I will be right back. All right, I've got my drills, I've started my timer, so let me dive into my regular life. What's been going on in my regular life? Not a ton, and actually this may be one of my shorter WIP and Chats. I just don't know how much I have to share. Some days life is just boring, you know what I mean? I'm grateful for that. What is that old Irish blessing slash curse? May you live in interesting times. I'm fine with things being boring sometimes. And it feels like this week lasted longer than a week. What's up with that? I feel like February's going by pretty quick, but this week didn't. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, we went to last week my mother-in-law's house for my birthday dinner. My brother-in-law graciously made me schnitzel, which is one of my favorite things. And my sister-in-law made me a big dessert tray. And she's like, that's all for you. There's other dessert for everyone else. You can take that home. And it was lemon bars and chocolate bars. She makes some kind of chocolate bar with like crackers and score. I don't know what it is, but it's good. My son absolutely loves them. So I had those to take home. I shared. I didn't eat all of them myself, but they were so good. So that was fun. And we took the doggos with us. So it went slightly better this time. The St. Bernard still didn't like them being in his house, but they at least got along better. Oscar wanted to play with them and was barking at him, trying to get him to play, but he was having none of it. And then he basically was barking at them, trying to get them to leave the house. So it was a little noisy there for a few minutes. But then they just settled down and both of them just kind of ignored each other. Sable just ignored both of them, so. But they feed the St. Bernard pretty much anything, any kind of people food. They gave him a pan, I think it had mac and cheese in it, to let him just lick up what was left. And Oscar tried getting in on the action, and he was having none of that, so that almost caused a fight. But other than that, they were good. We were going to go up this weekend and take him up there just for another day and spend a couple of hours just so the dogs can start getting used to each other. But hubby ended up not feeling very good, so we didn't end up going up there this weekend. I think all we're going to be doing today, Sunday, is watching early Olympics and then the Super Bowl, which I guess the Super Bowl is kind of early this year too. At least it's not, it doesn't start at like 11 o'clock at night for us like some of the games have been. And then pretty soon it will be time for Canadian football to start. And of course, Formula One. Hubby's been watching all the car reveals with Formula One. I gotta say, I can't see a lot of difference. Supposedly they're new cars this year because of regulation changes, and they're like, oh, look at all these livery changes we made. They look like the same cars to me. I couldn't tell the difference. Maybe if I had the old one and the new one side by side, but subtle differences that I'm sure if you look at the car every single day, you'd probably notice, but I don't. Anyway, with one of the gift cards that I got for my birthday, hubby and I went to this new barbecue place. And we were looking at the menu online, and I was like, man, if this is really good barbecue, we're probably going to be going there a lot. It was probably the best barbecue I've had since we got to Canada. I loved it. We also went to a new shawarma place that sells donairs and shawarmas. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I got a shawarma. Hubby got a donair. The youngest got some kind of bowl. He did not like the bowl. And I was like, well, I liked what I got. And I don't usually like going to new places. So he did like their spring rolls, though. Anyway, this new barbecue place, hubby got like this try everything platter. I forget what it was called, but they had pulled pork, smoked brisket, ribs, coleslaw, fries, onion rings, sweet potato fries. Of course, they have gravy. It's Canada. You have fries, you have to have gravy. It's like a national rule. Of course, they had poutine. But I got a pulled pork sandwich with sweet potato fries, and I thought it was delicious. I actually finished the whole thing, which I don't normally do. Hubby, of course, had a little bit of everything. But that evening, his tummy was upset and he was not feeling good. And I said, I think you just overate. But he's like, I can't remember the last time I got this sick. And I was like, well, I think you just overate. I'm going back there again. But then I was talking to my son, and he'd asked me, there were some leftover ribs, and he asked me if I'd had any. And I said, no, why? Did you get sick too? Thinking that maybe he had an upset tummy like my husband. And he goes, they made him sick? And I said, well, I think he just overate. I don't think it was the ribs. But now my son, who is forever looking at the expiration date on everything, is like, nope, not gonna eat them now. And I was like, did you have some last night? And he's like, yeah. And I said, did you get sick? No. Well, if they made him sick. And I was like, I don't think it was the ribs. But I'll happily go back there by myself if no one else wants to go. It was a lot of fried food, and I think hubby's eyes were just bigger than his stomach. Oh, and we're going to be going out again later this month. Somebody else is having a birthday, but we're going out so that nobody has to cook. And my mother-in-law is actually going to go, which is amazing because she hasn't really wanted to go anywhere for the longest time. She has a lot of health issues as well, problems with her back, stuff like that. But we got her to come over here to see the new house when we were having Thanksgiving, so we could have American Thanksgiving here last November. Then well, she had to get out again for hubby's dad's funeral, which was not an enjoyable experience, but I think she enjoyed being out of the house, if that makes sense. Not the reason, but the just being out of the house, because she hasn't done a lot of that. I always forget. It's always weird to me how many people here, women mostly, who don't have driver's licenses. So if they want to go somewhere, they have to get somebody to take them. Even some family that we had visiting from Ontario. And in Ontario, there's probably way more mass transit available than there is here, but neither of them drive. So if they wanted to go somewhere, somebody had to take them. And I was like, oh, well, I don't even think about that kind of stuff, I'm just so used to everybody having a license. If I want to go, I get in the car and go. And so I said, oh, well, I have a license. I drive. So if you need to go somewhere, you can call me. You can call my youngest, call hubby. Any of us would be happy to take you wherever. Anyway, all that to say that my mother-in-law does not drive either. So if she wants to go somewhere, someone has to take her. Because of some of her health problems, it's not really comfortable to sit in the car for a long time. But anyway, we also got out for another birthday and went to a restaurant, and she basically treated everybody to dinner that night, and she really enjoyed it. She enjoyed talking with the server. She enjoyed the food. I think she just in general enjoyed being outside with other people. So now she's decided that we're going to go out again for another birthday. So I'm happy to see her getting out and about. I think it's good for her. I know myself, even though I'm a homebody and I don't like getting out a lot either, there are days when, even if I just go for a drive somewhere, I just want to get out of the house for a change of scenery. And if you don't have a driver's license, that's not an option for you. We were having a whole big discussion at one of our dinners about, I don't quite understand the way the driver's licensing and everything works here. I mean, we came up here, we gave them our American driver's license and got a Canadian one. There weren't really any questions or anything like that. I guess I just didn't ask a bunch of questions. And so it's a point system here, which I'm sure they have point systems at places in the US, but Kansas doesn't. It's just based on, I think, penalties are based on whatever you were doing. Obviously, things like drunk driving have a higher penalty than things like speeding. I mean, I try to be careful when I drive, so I didn't figure it really mattered a whole lot. I wasn't planning on doing anything that I would need to find out, but we were talking about it, and they were telling me about the point system. I guess you start out with 10 points, and as long as you have 1 point, you can drive. But if you ever drop below that 1 point, then you basically have to start all over the process of getting your license, which sounds horrible, honestly. And then they were telling me about there's a system here because I was telling them the person I tutor had been working on their license and was explaining some of the stuff to me. And I was like, they were at like 7.1. What does that even mean? And they're like, oh, well, it just means, different. And where we lived had the same sort of thing. I guess I just didn't think of it as levels because they weren't like differentiated by like a point system or whatever. It was just you had where we lived, you could get a farm permit at 14 if you lived on a farm, so you could drive the farm equipment. At 16, you could get your learner's permit, which is what we did with my son because he had to have his learner's permit before he could take driver's ed. And then he spent like 8 weeks one summer taking driver's ed, which was a pain in the rear because they had to have a special session of it so that the kids who played on the football team could meet practices and everything else. Anyway, so then he did all of his driving with the driver's ed instructor, and then at the end of it, he went and got his restricted license. So he'd already taken the paper test and all of that, and then he did all the driving parts with the driving instructor. So all we had to do was, when he was on his restricted license, was he could only go certain places. He wasn't supposed to drive by himself other than to work or school. And then I had to spend so many hours with him practicing driving. And then once you sign off on that, you take that in. He's got all his practice hours in, and he went on to his full license until he turned 21, and then he got his real license because he was old enough to drink at that point. But I never thought of it as like a point system because I just don't talk about it that way. You know what I mean? The symbols in this kit still get to me. They're just the stickers are smaller than I'm used to. And so sometimes finding the symbols, I'm like, I know this is this color. Where is it? Even after I've done almost a whole row on this one. I like this orange though. It's pretty. Anyway, why was I talking about driver's licenses? I don't know. I'm sure when I go to edit it, it'll make sense that I was on that tangent. But anyway, they were explaining all of that to me, and I was like, well, won't get a ticket then. And then I won't have to worry about worrying what the system is. We haven't gotten any more snow. It has been cold a couple days this week, but we did go out every day for our regular walks this week, which we haven't done in a while. It's supposed to be warmer this week. Hubby was telling me it's going to be all the way up in the 40s several days this week. So we'll see how much of the snow, that ice that's still left, melts. Hubby went out and actually bought one of those ice scraper things so we can scrape all the ice off the deck. The dogs have got better about going outside and going down into the dog run, but there are days when they're too lazy to go that far, and I'm tired of having our deck look so nasty. We're going to go clean everything off, maybe shovel some snow out of the dog run so that it's not quite so deep for them, because it's taller than Sable for sure. Oscar's light enough he can walk on the top of it for the most part, but Sable sinks sometimes when she goes out, which she's not a big fan of. So I do think that they are starting to get used to the snow. A couple of weeks ago, they would demand that he take them out on their leashes outside in the yard, and now they're willing to go out by themselves and either just on the deck or go down into the dog run. They don't stay out very long, but Oscar likes to go out and run around and play in the snow. He's been kind of crazy some days when he comes back inside. He just wants to run, or he wants you to run so he can chase you. And he'll nip at your legs and jump on you. Gave my son a couple of pretty hefty scratches with his nails. I think we need to get him back in and get their nails trimmed again. But Sable's been getting in on it too, so I think they're finally starting to kind of settle in and realize this is a forever home because more of their personalities are starting to come out, especially Sable. Like earlier today, I was running and trying to get Oscar to chase me because he was being crazy. He kind of ignored me for a minute, and Sable just kind of glumped over to me and growled, and she'll bark at you, not in a mean way, but in a playful way. But goodness, she's kind of scary when she growls at you and bares her teeth because she's so much bigger than Oscar. Here I was thinking I was working on a leaf, and I just realized this is a mushroom. Go me for being observant. And I've got some of my drills stuck together in this color because I got my colors mixed up. I forgot to put a sticker on this one to say what color it was. It's M, and I was putting it on all the 8s, so I had to pick them all off in a different section. And now I'm trying to use them all up. because they've already got adhesive on the bottom, and I don't want to pour them into the bigger container and have all of them start sticking together. So trying to use up this smaller container of this dark color first. The 8, the H, which is black, and then this M are the 3 colors I have the most of. So they're all like darker colors for shading. And it is way more confetti than I'm used to, but I gotta say I'm still enjoying it, even though it's more confetti. Well, I guess it's not more confetti than I'm used to. I've done some J-walls, so I've done some really confetti heavy projects. It's more confetti than I was expecting, let me say that. I don't know if you can see part of this one over here. I think the section before this one I used almost every single color in the kit in it. So I'm not going the fastest, but that's okay. All right, I think that's everything that I had to tell you about my regular life. So let me move on to my diamond painting life, since I'm already kind of spilling over into it anyway. So I haven't been doing a whole lot. I did share with you guys earlier this week my January goals and how I did on them in January. I guess not my January goals, my goals for the year and how I did on them in January. So I'm ahead on some, behind on others. No surprise there. And I'm wanting to spend a good chunk of time diamond painting on this one, because I was looking at it going, well, if I get a section, you know, a row done a week, no, that's not going to be enough. There's more weeks. I will need more weeks than there are in February if I do it that slow. So I definitely need to speed up a little bit on this one. And I'm actually hoping, I haven't covered the whole thing with release papers. I didn't make enough, so I'm just kind of, as I finish this row, then I'll do the next row and so on as I finish. And I can see some of the stuff up at the top. I'm going to have quite a bit more multi-placing than I'm running into down here, which makes sense because that's going to be the sky and everything, and this is a lot more of the grass and stuff like that. So it makes sense that it's more confetti down here at the bottom. So I'm hopeful that as I get closer to the top, things will speed up a little bit. That will help. I hope so anyway. So I'm still working on this one. I do have the teacup one kitted up because I still would like to get to that one this month. I don't know if I'll finish it in February, given how slow this one seems to be going. But if I only finish this one, because I finished this 3 in February, then I'm doing okay. I did also manage to get all of the new drills, the fairy dust drills that I bought from Diamond Art Club, all put into my Art Dot drawer storage. And I did manage to make everything fit in the bottles that were in there, so I'm excited about that. So I think everything's going to be a lot more accessible for me when I want to add things in. I do want to start doing some of those Forever Young pattern blanks, though, to start using up some of my spare drills. I think I mentioned in that last video where I was putting all the special drills in different storage that I would like to get back down to just 2 boxes. All of my rounds fit in 1 box, but my squares do not. And I think the reason for that is at one point several years ago, I bought from Art Dot. It was a kit, not like a diamond painting kit, but a kit of drills, and it was 1,000 drills of all 447 diamond painting colors. Now, I've used some of those since then, obviously, because I've used spare drills to do projects, but not in any real significant quantities. When I did my Pegasus Heaven and Earth, I had purchased the drills from someplace rather than just using my spares, because I didn't think I would have enough spares at the time, which is also one of the reasons that I bought the Art Dot ones. But now that I have them, they're just kind of taking up space, and I do have 2 Heaven and Earth projects that I could be doing with my spare drills. I haven't started on them yet because I didn't think my old eyes would be able to do it, honestly. I know I struggled a lot with the Pegasus kit, and that was several years ago. I feel like my eyes are a bit worse now than they were. I still just wear reading glasses, but I have to have a higher power than I used to. I know I had such a hard time seeing some of the darker colors on the Heaven and Earth canvas that I actually broke down and purchased a light pad, which I wouldn't normally have done. I don't normally work with light pads, but it was pretty much a necessity With the previous Heaven and Earth canvas that I did, there were just so many dark colors. So if I was doing a dark section like that, like right here, I'd never be able to finish it because I can't tell the difference between the colors. And it's not a big one. I didn't buy a huge size or anything. I just got a small one because I just need it to help me with the darker sections. And most of the time I'm going to be working with like these release paper sections this size anyway, so I certainly don't need a giant light pad, but I do feel like I'm going to need it. Maybe I'll find out once I start it that I don't, but also the two Heaven and Earths that I have left are two of my 2021 kits, which are things that I wanted to work on this year. One is pretty large. The other one is smaller than the other one, but it's still pretty big. I want to say the smaller one is 60 by 60 maybe, but it's very monochromatic. It's a lot of browns and beiges and tans and off-whites. I haven't kitted that one up yet, so I don't know if I have enough drills of everything. The other one I do have kitted up. I don't know if I have enough drills of everything. I did have it partially kitted up several years ago, and just, again, it's one of those projects that keeps getting shoved to the back of my shelf. And honestly, I probably would have donated the canvases on as well, except that I figured who's going to want just the canvas and not the drills to go with it. Like donating a kit is one thing, donating just a canvas is different. I don't know, what do you guys think? Would somebody be happy to get just a canvas? I mean, it's got the symbols and the legend and all that, you just wouldn't have the drills. For someone who's starting out, that's not great, obviously, but I don't know. So those are, again, two canvases that I'm like, I don't know who would want them because I wouldn't be able to do the drills as well. Just because, well, I guess I could try. I certainly have plenty of plastic bags. I wonder if after I kitted up my next kit and it had plastic bags, if I could kit up. I do have some of my old 2 mil plastic bags left still, I think, too. I'll have to think about that. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Could I just donate the canvases and leave somebody else to find the drills? Should I try and kit them up with the drills and then donate them that way? I don't know if I have enough drills to do the complete kit. And I would hate to give somebody drills that weren't enough for them to finish or whatever. Anyway, so that's a thought that's been kind of going around in my head. I do think, and I said this last time, that I have a couple of kits at least that I'm like, yeah, I'm probably never going to get to this one. I think I'm okay letting it go. And I just realized I missed some M's there. I think that's mostly where I'm at with donating the ones that I don't think that I'm going to get to. Because to me, I've already spent the money. I've talked about that before. So for me, it makes me feel guiltier about it just sitting on my shelf doing nothing than it does for me to donate it to somebody who hopefully will get enjoyment out of it. Because I want to be able to go to my shelves and be like, awesome, which kit do I love that I want to work on today? Which new joyous thing out of my collection do I get to open up and start working on? Instead of going, well, I really want to work on this, but I feel like I should work on that. Anything that makes me feel like I should work on it, I'm thinking is probably something I should just let go of. But there have been kits that I kept that I didn't think I would enjoy that I ended up really liking. So maybe I'm not the greatest judge. Does anybody else ever feel that way? Like, I didn't think I would like this one, but I actually did. Like the Autumn Sun one that I did last year that I ended up keeping because I really enjoyed that one. I am not a huge fan of orange. I did not think I would like it at all, and I was super happy with it when I was done. So yeah, at some point, I should make my goal for reducing my collection this year because I'm going to be donating some of them, not so much that I'm going to be doing so much of them, but that's okay. I didn't specify how I had to reduce it, just that I wanted to reduce it and get it down to a manageable level where I feel like I've got enough different things to pick from. And like I said, I don't know if there's necessarily a magic number, but I do know that some of the older kits just aren't as much fun because, of course, improvements have been made in drill quality, in adding different kinds of special drills and things like that. So some of the stuff that you get now in the newer kits, you just don't get in the older kits because they weren't around. And not to say that some of the older kits aren't enjoyable, they are. The Close Encounters that I did was a 2021 purchase, and I enjoyed it immensely. But I do think there is something to, if I'm, again, continually passing it over in favor of something else or anything else, then perhaps that's a sign that I should let it go. That's a question I've wondered, so maybe some of you could answer that for me. Do you have a particular kit in your collection that you are just consistently avoiding? And is there a reason? Is it the size? Is it the shape of drills? Is it just me? Am I the only one who does that? I know typically for me, the size is the thing that makes me avoid it the most. And I think that's just the nature of the beast for me, because I'm not just doing this for my own enjoyment. I'm doing it to make videos and produce content. And the great thing, but also not so great thing about YouTube is that you constantly have to be making new content. And so if you don't have a lot of new things or the newest things to share, it can be hard to come up with new content. And of course, YouTube wants you to come up with new content too. So, and again, it's hard to tell. Even after doing this 5 years, I find it difficult to predict which videos will be popular and which ones won't. I mean, some of my more evergreen ones that are about, tips or diamond painting hacks or just about diamond painting in general, like for beginners and things like that, those kinds of things are kind of evergreen, and that's reflected in how many views and stuff they get. But just for your average day-to-day videos, because you can't make that content constantly, nobody can, whether it's diamond painting or something else, then you kind of have to branch out. And I think that's why some of the more popular diamond painting channels don't just do diamond painting, they do other kinds of crafts and things. And of course, in some ways it's easier if you have sponsors or affiliates or things like that, because then you're probably getting things for free that you don't have to pay for. But that brings with it its own set of rules and requirements about what you can and can't do, depending on who the sponsor is or whatever. And while I've done some of that, and I've been very upfront about what I'm willing to do and not do, that can limit. And I missed those twos right there. Well, I'll get them when I put this paper on crooked, so when I get to it, I'll do it. I've gotten very off topic today. I guess today is a day of tangents. So just a couple of few random thoughts thrown in. Last time when I was doing my review of the finish I did on the keys, and I said they were electric drills, apparently those metallic ones are called electro, not electric. Silly me. I do like that set though. I think I'm going to go out and find, my husband just bought a collage picture frame because he wants to get some pictures of his dad to hang up and frame, or frame and hang up, I guess is the correct order. I thought, oh, I should find something like that. But I can't decide if I want to do that or if I just want to get like individual frames so that I can like hang a couple of them in the bathroom and then hang a couple in the kitchen and then hang a couple in the sunroom. So I might do that too. I don't know. The other thing that I've been thinking about, I've had multiple people ask if I have a video on all the lingo that goes with diamond painting. And I've thought many times about making one, but I figured other people had done one, so I probably didn't need to. But now I'm wondering if anybody has done one. I know I watched one probably 4 or 5 years ago, but I don't know if anybody's kind of done an updated one since then. So I was trying to write down what things would I include in the lingo, because of course there's things you need to explain by like squares and rounds and the difference in sizes and things like that, and guide circles and all that kind of stuff. But some things have come and gone. Like, are there enough double-sided adhesive canvases still around that that's something people would be interested in knowing the difference between that and poured glue, or no? Obviously, there have been some changes in drills just because new things have come along. Like when I very first started, ABs were the only kind of specialty drills that were included with kits. If you got like a partial kit, then you might have gotten some special shape drills or something, but that wasn't anything that got regularly included in kits. And certainly there were no electro drills, or at least they weren't called that. There were no fairy dust or pixie dust drills. And heck, I'm so late to the party half the time. There's probably stuff out there that I don't know about that's been around for a while that I've not heard of. So leave me a comment below and let me know if I did a video like that, what kinds of things should I make sure to include that you think would be of interest to lots of people, not just people who are starting out in diamond painting. I mean, although that's who would be the biggest audience, I'm assuming, but maybe just some things that you came along as you went on your diamond painting journey that you thought, oh, wish somebody had told me that at the beginning, or wish I had run into that at the beginning. So yeah, leave me a comment and let me know that. Okay, so I've made a little bit of progress here on the mushroom stem, and I've filled in quite a bit of the darker colors here. I like when I get a little bit of blue or these oranges or some reds, because a lot of this down at the bottom, understandably, has been brown, beige, black, dark blues, dark greens, some darker oranges and things, and of course some dark reds, but yeah, always happy to get a little bit of color. I can't wait until I get up into the next row because then I should hit some color. I did actually hit some of the little cat that is sleeping on the empty plant pot. Let me put this all the way and zoom out so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you can see here, this is the stem of the mushroom, and there's the little underside of the cap. So there will be some red and stuff up here when I get to it. But I don't know if you can quite see it. Over here is its little tail or its back leg. Or maybe that's part of the fox. I think that's part of the fox, actually. I think that's the fox's nose, and those are the fox's whiskers. But you can see those are crystals, and then the crystals got used over here slightly more to the left, which you can't see, but in the picture here you can see there's a cat, and the cat had some of those kind of pale crystals in it as well. There's the fox with its little whiskers. So this kit does have some ABs and also does have some of those crystals in it. They haven't been too bad so far. I'm always hesitant when crystals are included just because I feel like the crystals are just that smidge bigger in diameter than the round drills, and so sometimes it can be hard to fit them in. So I do the same thing that I do with ABs. When I have a crystal, I put those on first. But I feel like I'm making some decent progress. I've got, basically I'm to here with this mushroom, so I've just got a little bit to go, and those are going to be some darker colors again, but then I should move into some lighter ones as I do the next row. So I should move into the fox and the little cat, maybe some flowers here, the doggy's feet. So yeah, making some progress. Hopefully when we watch the Super Bowl, I will be parked in front of the TV with my diamond painting all set up so I can just diamond paint all day tomorrow, or today for you guys. All right. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around through all of my rambling and tangents. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. What are you doing, Oscar? Is your tail wagging? What are you doing? Aw, you're so cute. Yeah, you're so cute. You're so cute. Yeah. Are you cute? What are you doing, Sable? What are you doing, Sable? Yes, Oscar, I see you too. You gonna show me your teeth? Look at that tail wag. Look at that tail wag. Don't bite Sable's eyeball. Oscar, be nice.